This is from a series of interviews that I shot in January of 2021 for the Mind, Body, Soul documentary project, where we will be hiking the Continental Divide Trail and exploring the effects that nature has on our well-being. To find out more about the project, visit mindbodysoulfilm.com.
Yeah, my name is Anthony Pompa. Yeah, this is the True North headquarters. So our primary mission is to get people outdoors that might not normally feel comfortable doing so on their own. We do that in a couple different ways. We put together different types of events every year, those being boot camps. So we have a beginner's boot camp, an advanced boot camp. We actually just added an intro to hiking and backpacking event that we started last year. We also have weekend-long events, so like a Friday through Sunday, and then we also do week-long 5 to 7 day trips, including canoe trips in Boundary Waters. We go to Kentucky once a year over Memorial Day weekend for a yoga slash kayaking, and this year we're actually adding some rock climbing into that. So that's our big yoga event every year.
What's it like to backpack for the first time?
I think that most people come into our trips feeling uncomfortable, which is normal. It's a new, for a lot of people it's new. But I think that I would say a good portion of the people that come into our trips are coming in with an open mind. They've taken the time to sign up, they've done the research, in some instances I've talked to them, or my business partner Jennifer's talked to them prior to the trip. We spend a lot of time actually with clients before trips even happen, sending them emails with the information, with weather updates. They're worried about their gear. Is my sleeping bag going to be warm enough? Did I buy the right tent? And so, I think there's a lot of that. To me, it seems like it's more not knowing necessarily and having us available to reach out and ask questions. But I think that a lot of people don't necessarily feel comfortable even making that first step. And a lot of our clients are, we're predominantly getting women signing up for our events, although we have had I'd say about 6 to 8 men sign up for our stuff. But a lot of the people that we're getting on our trips are people that are, older adults and their kids are finally gone for school, or maybe they've recently gone through a divorce or a loss of a spouse, and they're finally able to take that time to get outdoors. And so we're seeing, quite a bit of those people too, which is, it's nice to be able to be so helpful to them to experience nature and the outdoors when they're kind of in a transition in their life.
How do people find their confidence on these trips?
Yeah, so depending on our event, we do offer transportation for all of our events. And like I said, we do typically leave out of this headquarters, if you will, in Huntley. But one of the good things about it is because we do transport people, it allows them to meet each other prior to the event. And so even if you're coming into our event and a little bit nervous about what you're about to experience, typically there's people in that van that have been out with us before, and the stories that are told and the laughs that are had, I think they really help people have people feel more comfortable going out with us and being in that group. I think that that's when people kind of take that initial transition from signing up online and now it's actually happening to feeling like, oh, I'm actually part of this, and like these are the people I'm going to be spending the next 3 or 5 days with. So I think that puts a lot of people at ease. I think people want to gravitate towards one another. I think that's human nature. And so feeling comfortable with the people that are there, knowing that they've experienced this before, I think that breaks down a lot of the walls or insecurities that people have. And then I think it almost seems to me that the little groups or the partnerships or friendships are formed almost instantly. And we know when we're out there, like, this is us. Like, when we go out on our canoe trip for the week, like, this is our group of 9 people that we're going to be with for the next 4 or 5 days. And so I would say 99.9% of the time, there's just that instant pull towards one another, and you just become that unit and that family right away. A lot of people, I think, are in a headspace where they're still trying to process being out away from their family or away from their career during that time. And you're like, okay, I know this person's dealing with the same thing. My back might hurt, my feet might hurt, I might have blisters, but you know what? That other person's been out here with me too this whole time, and they're dealing with it and they're not complaining. And it's just, you really don't too often get people complaining about ailments or anything like that really in the outdoors. As miserable as it can be sometimes, people just kind of embrace it. And I think being part of that cohesive unit, that family, kind of helps bond that and make you know that, you know what, it's okay. It's okay that I'm dealing with this. I might not be having the best day out here, but I know that they're dealing with the same thing. So, oh man, I can tell you that I've seen people go from never sleeping in a tent before their first night, and these are specifically like at our boot camps, to coming off that trail Sunday and like being in tears because they're so proud of themselves for what they just did, and rightly so. You know, a lot of these people, it's a huge, like we keep saying, like it's a huge mental aspect, dealing with processing all of your stuff that you're dealing with back home, and then being out there and then looking at yourself and saying, wow, I really did this. Like, you know, and I can't say that we've ever had anybody show up and be like, no, there's no way I can do this, because otherwise why would they be there? Yeah. But I think that some people might have it in their back of their minds that, like, you know, I don't know if I can do this. I don't want to be the slowest person. Even if that happens, Jennifer's usually in the back with the back group, so she's going to be the slowest person technically. So you won't be the slowest person. But yeah, people come into our events maybe with some self-doubt, and I've seen them leave with so much pride. And we've had reviews where people have made that comment that they feel so proud of themselves and that they know they could go out even on their own and do, you know, whether it's a weekend trip or whatever. And that's our goal, is to get people to be in that space where they feel like they can do that.
What do you do beyond backpacking to help people get the most out of these trips?
It only makes sense to tie in self-care. And I'm not the biggest person as far as knowledge into the yoga, like the background of yoga. That's why we have our yoga instructors. But to me, it almost goes hand in hand. Like, to be outdoors, to be connected to the earth, to feel one with nature, it just almost seems natural to practice yoga in those spaces. You know, most people that we get on our trips are not, maybe they've attended some yoga sessions in studios, but what we do with our yoga outdoors is probably nothing like you'll ever experience. So to me, it made sense to incorporate the process of being outdoors, taking care of yourself, and allowing yourself to mentally decompress from all that. And I think yoga allows you that opportunity to just slow down, focus on your breathing, focus on being present in that space, and, you know, recognizing that and celebrating that, really. The other thing it really helps with is stretching. And I didn't think about this when we first brought yoga into the company or making it part of the company, but we've had so much positive feedback from people that are able to practice yoga, or even just like a simple stretch after the day's backpacking is done. It's a matter of night and day how good people feel after doing that, and they're not complaining of being sore that second or third day. So we did recently bring on another member to our team, and her name's Kim, and she actually has she's certified as a counselor. She's a licensed counselor. So I'm interested to see where our company goes in that aspect, possibly with some meditation and some self-healing on that side of the business that I never thought we would actually, you know, be going down that road. But that's something that, you know, we're looking into. And like we keep saying, like, nature helps people heal. And so to me, having someone who is a licensed counselor be able to maybe help people through some of their issues that they're dealing with is, you know, it can only be a good thing. So, and essentially when this company was founded, I mean, that was what we wanted to do. You know, whether I knew it or not, part of the reason I started the company was to help people heal, because I was at a space where I was dealing with issues in my life, and it seemed natural for me to go outdoors to try to, you know, help with some of those issues. And so then that led to helping other people with some of that stuff that I'm probably not even aware of at this point.
How did nature help you heal?
Yeah, so at the time I was transitioning between my career fire departments, and was also dealing with my my ex-wife, who was kind of suffering from postpartum depression. I only took a little bit of time out of, like, maybe every other month or every year to do something for myself. And she didn't understand why I wanted to do that. And she felt like I was, you know, maybe not being the proper parent or spouse that I should have been. But I felt like I was, and you can't convince someone otherwise when that's in their head. And prior to that point in my life, I had spent 15, 16 years in my career solely focused on like making the profession a better place and doing everything I could to make myself more well-rounded. But I never really took the time to see nature the way I wanted to. And like, what better way to see it on foot, where as long as you're not looking down on your feet, I mean, all you have time to do is look around. So going through that point in my life, then I realized like, it was probably not intentional, but I found that I needed to take that time to kind of focus on myself. And I had the time, so I took the time. And, that's one thing I'll always tell our clients, like, or anybody really. I mean, if you want to get outdoors, like, you have to make time to do it. You just have to. And everyone's like, well, I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. You do have time for it, and you deserve to take that time for yourself. So going back to that point in my life, I was dealing with my profession at the time. I was dealing with the home issues, which, we were going to therapy. We were following all the routes that we should have taken to try to heal that relationship. But, sometimes those things just can't be repaired. And that's kind of where I was at. And it kind of came upon me, I guess, again, not really, I wasn't really looking for it, but I found the outdoors through that, considering I never stepped foot on the Appalachian Trail or the AT. And so I had, studied the maps, researched gut hooks, the AT guide by AWOL, sent my food drops out and everything, thought I was prepared, and drove out to Virginia, started my hike the next day, and out of a 10-day hike, I ended up doing basically overnight hike. And that was it. I was done after that. I'd spent 4 years in the Marines, 3 years in the Navy. I was, been in the fire service for a number of years as a full-time firefighter, and thought I was mentally prepared to deal with it. And I wasn't, to be honest with you. I got out there and I psyched myself out. I think I was pushing too hard the first day, so I started getting like cramps like by noon, which is not good. Obviously, I wasn't drinking enough water. But I think a lot of being outdoors by yourself is a huge mental game. I came back with my tail between my legs. I think I got to about Ohio. Actually, I got to West Virginia, and I'm sitting in the car driving. I'm thinking, what am I doing? Like, I have all this time off. I've planned this for months and months and months, and I just left. Like, I kind of felt a little bit disappointed in myself that I had just so easily given up. But at the same time, I knew I needed to go back home, regroup, put my gear in order, and then try it again. I definitely wasn't going to quit after that. But there was a lot of looking into myself and thinking like, hey, you know what, maybe you're not the person that you thought you were, able to handle this stuff without more experience, I guess, or without being mentally in a better space to handle that isolation that you feel sometimes when you're by yourself out in the trail. You have to be in a good headspace with yourself, I feel like, when you go outdoors, because if you're not, man, that can mess with you big time. All you have time to do is think when you're out there. You walk and you think. And so if you're not in a good space, maybe that's not the right thing to say, but being in a good headspace, I think definitely helps, I guess is what I should say. Mm-hmm. If you're not ready to go out there and deal with things that are in your head when you're backpacking, then, I don't know. I just know that there was a number of years where I was out backpacking, and every time I was out there, I'm thinking of, and I still do that to this day, but it bothered me. Like, I have kids, so I'm like, I'm out here backpacking. Maybe it's my one big trip for the year, but I feel guilty because I'm not at home with my kids, even though I've been with them for the last X amount of days, Yeah, and it's kind of funny because, like, from that point to where I'm at now, I went out, was it last year? I can't remember. I think it might have been in fall of 2019. I went out and did it was supposed to be like a 4 or 5 day section on the AT. It was supposed to be about 70 miles. And I knocked it out in like 3 days, like just under 3 days, which, I was flying. And so it's kind of cool from where I sit to see myself progress from that point where, I couldn't even do an overnight, and then to be able to do almost 70 miles in just about 3 days. And I was having a blast out there. I think for me, it gave me a real solid foundation because I can really understand if people are out there dealing with something, on a personal level or an emotional level. Like, I get it. Like, I understand why someone would want to get out there and experience that and take the time for themselves. So,
Why make the time to get into nature?
the benefits of spending time out in nature. I think the biggest thing is, I think humans in general don't take enough time for themselves. I mean, we have careers, we have kids, we have people relying on us for certain things. We have, calendars that are full of different events and things like that. And I think especially with COVID happening really in 2020, I think a lot of people had the chance to look back and when they weren't able to do all those things, I wonder if, to me, it almost seems like a lot of people would say, we're not taking time as individuals or as families to do stuff as a unit. It's, we got to get the kids here, or I got to be there, or I got this meeting to go to. And so I think that people spending time outdoors just lets you get away from all that, really. And, whether you're by yourself or as a family or with a friend or a group of friends, taking that time to just, even if you don't turn your cell phone off, even if you're using it for navigation or pictures, to not worry about who's calling me, who's texting me, I got to check my social media. Just taking that time to unwind and not live on the schedule. When you're on the trail, we live by the sun, right? We wake up with the sun, we go to sleep with the sun when the sun goes down. And that's not normal for us. And it takes people a lot of time, I think, especially if you're new to being outdoors. A lot of people aren't comfortable with that. They feel like, I know for a fact a lot of our clients, and even me, I go back to my tent and I'm on my phone. And I might not be scrolling through social media, but I'm probably watching something on Netflix or, looking at the pictures for the day. I think people just need to take that time to not live by their phone or a certain schedule and just decompress and get away from that. I'm the kind of person that I'm kind of always going. Got to do this, got to do that. I got this schedule and I got to be at work at a certain time. I got to pick up my kids. I got to go to this, I think it helps me slow down a little bit and say, or, if there's those times throughout the week or the month or the year where you're kind of depressed, like, oh man, it's winter right now, it's January, like I can't really get outdoors like I want to. It gives me something to look forward to. Being outdoors was within reach is a huge stress relief and helps me kind of separate like my personal life, my work life, and kind of deal with both of those individually. So, I'll give you an example, like dealing with the profession that I deal with. I've been able to use the outdoors and nature and spirituality, if you will, to just leave that at the door. When I leave work, I leave it there because I've been able to use the outdoors to help me kind of, I don't want to say get away from that, but to help take my mind off of some of that stuff. So like mentally, it helps me kind of deal with everyday life, if you will.
Why is it so important to take time for yourself?
So even though you're by yourself at home, like you said, you still have your phone, you still have emails coming in. You got to, do laundry, you got to do, there's a million things that we do during the day. And so even if you're by yourself at home, you're still not getting away from all that stuff. So again, that's why I believe so much in the outdoors. And, people, I think, just need to take more time to themselves. And it's hard because trying to be a responsible adult, trying to be a responsible parent, I'm not saying to neglect your kids or your responsibilities, but we have to set time aside for ourselves, whether it's to go for a walk outdoors, even if it's locally, taking a yoga class, going fishing, whatever you like to do. I think at the root of a person or as being a human, you have to take time for yourself. If you're not mentally and physically well, that's going to project onto other areas of your life, I believe.
What does our society think nature is good for?
I think that most people view nature as an opportunity for recreational, a place to perform recreational activities, whether it's kicking a soccer ball around or using the field for soccer games or sports. I think that most people in civilization don't necessarily view nature or the outdoors is a place to heal themselves, mentally or spiritually, if you will. I think it's just kind of a place people go to have fun, and that's great. But I don't know that most people would view nature as a place to go take time for themselves and to go out there with that intent to focus on themselves. Just experience it. Go outdoors, find a spot away from the busy area that you live in, and just allow yourself that time to relax and enjoy the outdoors and take in all the sounds of water, the animals. Even if you're going out with your family, the sound of your kids having fun, running around, playing. I know you can do that in a public park in the city, but it's completely different when you get out and you can actually not see a tall building next to you, or even see power lines for that matter, or anything, cell towers. I think that allowing yourself to get outdoors and experience that is there's so many benefits that people don't even realize, and it's hard to really put that into words to someone who's never experienced that. But I would encourage people to just go out there and at least day hike, get out to a nature preserve, experience that, walk around. And when you're ready to take that next step, whether it's, in the next couple of years or when your kids finally go away to school or whatever that transition is in your life, to take that time to allow yourself to fully enjoy the outdoors, and, whether it's camping, backpacking, canoeing, skiing, anything.
And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on social media to stay up to date with this project.